Hello everyone and welcome to this video. Now today I'm really pleased to be joined once again by Oliver Saunders. How are you doing, Ollie?
I'm good. How are you, Ross?
Yeah, I'm well, yeah, good. So, welcoming Ollie back on the channel to do a McCartney video, as we're both big Paul McCartney fans, and we thought that we'd talk about a kind of period of Paul's career which often gets overlooked a little bit, like I would say, which is his work in the 21st century. So basically everything he's put out since the year 2000. Because me and Ollie are probably at the younger end of like the McCartney kind of fan community, I guess. And for me personally, these albums he released during this period are some of my absolute favourite albums of his whole career. Like, I don't know about you, Ollie, but the first record of his I heard was Memory Almost Full, and that was really important for me getting probably becoming like the McCartney fan like that I am like today. So yeah, like what was your, I guess, relationship with these kind of albums?
With the 21st century ones, well, with Paul, I got into him with the Beatles first, and then his earlier solo stuff and the Wings stuff and Band on the Run would be the first post-Beatle thing I heard. So when I properly started getting into his solo stuff, it was probably the period between Memory Almost Full and New. I'll leave out Kisses on the Bottom, but so New's the first album I can remember. Like, I can vaguely remember Memory Almost Full coming out, but I wasn't like properly into Paul's solo stuff at that point. So New was the first one where I thought, right, it's a good album, I'm gonna buy this. So yeah, it'd be New. So was that 2013, I think?
2013, yeah, 11 years ago, which is quite scary to think of.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
It's like, 5 years ago, but no,
yeah,
11.
No, 11 years. Wow. So yeah, it was New for me.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was the first one which I was excited for, like kind of like anticipated for, like as a fan. But yeah, as I said, like Memory Almost Full, because was the first one. I think it's because it came out free with like a newspaper in like the UK, which my parents bought, and it came out and you got the wee CD with the newspaper. And I think it was just through my dad playing that I was like, I really like this stuff. Let me know more, kind of thing. So yeah, we're just doing our top 10 songs, going kind of back and forth. So I don't know, do you maybe want to kick us off with your number 10 choice, Ollie?
I will do. So we're starting off with on New, and I'm going with the opening track, Save Us. It's a good opening track, this. I've seen people online kind of slate this song a bit, which I'm not entirely sure why, but for me it's just got kind of that modern indie rock kind of vibe to it. And I've seen Paul do it live once, I think it was 2015 in Liverpool, where I've seen him do this one. It was the second song he did at the time, and it just seemed to go down really well. He sounds really good on it, and it just sounds fresh. It just sounds like, it doesn't sound like what was he when this came out, 71 or something? He sounds, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised like a younger band singing this song. I think it's a really good song, Save Us.
Yep, good choice. Yeah. No, maybe one I've slightly overlooked a little bit, but it is a good opening track on New, maybe one for me to revisit there, like a little bit. My number 10 is another opening track, actually. It's from Chaos and Creation, but I've got the wee 7-inch for it, Fine Line. There's a fine line between recklessness and courage. It's a really good little, it's a kind of piano stomper, I would say. It kind of fits into like that kind of category. It's got a real kind of momentum to it, and a kind of interesting structure to it as well, you know. So it kind of opens with the kind of essentially like the chorus, you know, like that hook, like there's a fine line between recklessness and courage. It's about time you understood what to take. Basically, just gets right in there, like with like kind of like the chorus, and then there's and then it kind of meanders through. Sort of there's an interesting kind of bridge and a kind of guitar solo. It just always feels like it's developing this song, and I like like production wise, you've got a kind of, I think there's an orchestra on it like as well, and it's just a good song, like good profound lyrics. I think like this, like reckless courage, it's about time you understood. I just like that little fact with this. This was Paul's last UK top 20 single. This actually charted at number 20 in the UK charts, which would be unthinkable now, I guess. Well, I suppose like the Beatles song charted, but for a solo McCartney song, he was still having hits at this point. And yeah, Fine Line turned out to be the last one. But no, yeah, really good opening track there.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was his last one. I always assumed it would be, was it Beautiful Night or something? I think, or Flaming Pie. I think all the Flaming Pie singles charted. I thought they were his last. top 20 hits, but yeah, obviously I'm wrong. It's about the only rocker as well, I think, on Chaos, if I remember right.
Yeah, it's definitely the most upbeat track on the album. Yeah. Just kicks things off and then suddenly it goes into a lot more kind of personal, somber songs, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Number 9 is it now? Is it? Yeah. We're going with the most recent effort from Paul at the time of recording this, and that is I'm going with the Kiss of Venus of McCartney 3.
We came together with our secrets blown.
So the first time I heard this song was, I think there was a trailer put out for McCartney 3 that had this song on it. And when I initially heard it, I was a bit, oh God, no, with his voice. And, you know, I don't want to start slagging Paul's voice off because, in my opinion at least, I still think he can sing. He can't sing the way he used to. But with the Kiss of Venus, it really has grown on me since I first heard it. And I actually think he sings it quite well. And I think his voice kind of works on it. Melodically, it also sounds a bit like something off the first McCartney album. It's more of an acoustic thing. And yeah, I think it was inspired by a book that Jules Holland's wife gave Paul. And it's really grown on me. It's like the earlier McCartney solo stuff, which is why I really like it. So yeah, Kiss of Venus, number 9 for me.
Nice one. Well, I won't talk too much about that one because that is to come on my list at some point. But yeah, we'll get to that soon anyway. So my number 9 is from an album which I believe you never actually heard, Ollie. Like this was one which when I said that you could include stuff from it, you were a bit like, and okay, so what sort of thing?
Yeah.
So it's a Fireman album, electronic. So I'm going for the song "Dance Till We're High." I think is a really underrated pop gem. You know, like this although it's a Fireman album, it's just called the Fireman. You know, this is probably more akin to something like New or even probably New as an album. Like I would compare it to. I think certainly the first half of this album is. It's just all Paul by himself. It's a bit like McCartney 3 in some ways as well. It's all just Paul by himself, but they're really good songs, I think, like good quality songs. And then it comes a bit more ambient, a bit more like electronic, like as like the album that goes on. But yeah, Dance Till High is a great song. It's a song about new love, I guess, possibly written about his then girlfriend at the time, Nancy Chevelle, of course, is now his wife of like many years. And it's just a bright, open song, I think, which should be more well known. So yeah, Dance Till We're High. Will come in at number 9. Is that one that you are familiar with at all?
I'm not familiar with it. I've listened since we discussed it. I mean, obviously I knew about that album. I've just never really gone on my way to listen to it or the other 2 Fireman albums. But I have listened to it since then. I'll be honest, there's nothing from my list off that album. Simply because I'm not familiar enough with it yet. So if we maybe did this in a year's time, it would probably maybe some of them songs would get on it. But I thought I can't put any of those songs on yet because I'm not familiar enough with them. Other than is it Sing the Changes?
Sing the Changes, which
was
you
that
did
the big
like
single off it or the main single? Yeah, I know that one, but otherwise, I'm not massively familiar with all the tracks off that one, so I'll have to check that one out properly.
Yeah, it's a great album.
Right, number 8 is it?
Yeah.
We are still on with McCartney 3 here, and I'm going with Seize the Day.
Seize the day.
Which was the only song on the album, really, now I can think of it, that had like a lockdown kind of vibe. The rest of them could have been on any album, but this one, it's sort of just about, well, literally what it says on the tin, seize the day, just appreciate what you have. When I first listened to McCartney 3, this was probably the song that stood out to me the most. And for a long time, it was my favourite on the album. I wouldn't say it's my favourite now on it, but yeah, I think it's a good song. It's a catchy song. Good chorus. Yeah, just a good song. Like Seize the Day.
Yeah, good one there. Yeah. That one almost made my pick. I think I had a couple of bubbling unders. I think that was among them, you know. It was all that highlighted as like, ooh, I better include that, and then ended up just being that there was, I guess, I don't know, 10 more that were slightly better in my eyes. But no, great song, and I guess about it, fantastic, yeah. So my next one, live as well. Yeah. My next one at number 8 is a non-album single. It's going a little bit obscure. It's this song, it's Home Tonight.
Which was
that song. Yeah, which was it was released as a Record Store Day thing in I think maybe 2019. I think it's basically like an Egypt Station outtake, but it's brilliant. This is if this was on Egypt Station, this would have probably been top 3 songs on that album for me. Because it's a really fun, upbeat song, nice acoustic guitars on it, an infectious chorus. I guess some people could say it maybe gets a bit repetitive, but I think each time he does it, there's something different added, whether it be a wee hand clap, whether it be kind of like sort of like different horns coming in on it, and kind of and he kind of sings it slightly differently like every time. So I don't think I personally don't think this one gets repetitive, and I think it's got some good quality lyrics on it as well. Basically about kind of I guess home providing comfort, like in like a troubled world. He sings with it like I read the bad news every day. It's getting harder to cry. Sometimes I'd like to look away, but I can't close my eyes. So quite I guess dark lyrics of that, but the teams with this very peppy arrangement. Just very like infectious song, which I always really enjoy hearing. So Home Tonight for me will come in at number 8.
Ages since I've listened to that song. I always forget it exists because obviously it was non-album single, like you say. So funnily enough, my number 7 is a song from Egypt Station.
Okay.
I'm going with Confidant.
Used to be my confidant, my underneath.
Which track 7 I think it is on here or something, but it's the acoustic. It's an acoustic song, and I really like. It's really grown on me. It's at the time when I first listened to it, it didn't really jump out to me much, this song, but I think Paul has said it's about his guitar, but there are people out there, including myself, who think there's maybe a little bit about Heather Mills in that song where he's saying I fell out of love with you and brought our romance to an end. That's maybe me reading into it too much. It probably is just about his guitar, but it's probably one of the best tracks on this album, in my opinion. I think it's maybe just Paul on his own as well. I don't think there's any other musicians on it. I might be wrong, so don't quote me on that. But I think he's done it live once. It was either at the Cavern or at Lipper, Paul's old school.
There's a live recording of it out there, but I don't think I've ever seen a video of it.
But Confidant, I think it's a great song, and it's my number 7.
Great choice there, again, one which I've probably slightly underappreciated. I'm not sure about your Heather Mills theory. I think that maybe, what would that have been? Maybe say about, not maybe getting on for, that's 2018, so that would have been about 10 years after their breakup. He would have been still writing songs about that.
I'm maybe clutching straws there.
You never know. Anyway, my number 7 is another track from Egypt Station. So sticking with Egypt Station, it is the kind of opening track, which is I Don't Know.
But it's alright. Sleep tight.
Which I've got on a 7-inch here, which is kind of double A. Was released like as a double A set, but come on to me, which hasn't made my list. You might be not too surprised to hear. But anyway, I Don't Know is a really nice piano ballad. Again, it's quite a dark song for McCartney, full of a lot of self-doubt. I think he sounds very pensive singing it, like about all his troubles. I've got crows out my window, dogs at my door. I don't think I can take any more. And then there's and it just goes through some nice changes in that. I think like the kind of like again some interesting backing vocals as well. I think it's all just Paul by himself doing different vary speedings that make him sound slightly higher pitched than that. Like kind of like a female backing singer would, but a bit more. This has got a bit more character to it, I guess, like because it is Paul, and I think it is all kind of like done like himself. I think it's as I said, it's got a nice structure, some excellent bass playing on this as well, and all around just a really good track there. Eases you into Egypt Station, I think, quite well. Like it's not a showy opening track, it's just a really good quality ballad there.
I don't think anyone would argue as well that it's not the best, that it was the best single off Egypt Station compared to, what was it? Was it Come On To Me? And
it was Come On To Me and For You were the other 2 singles, which were not brilliant.
That's in a completely different league to that one. Right, number 6. I'm going back to McCartney 3. This is the last one I'm going off McCartney 3, which is what my favourite song is on it now. Winter Bird, When Winter Comes.
When winter comes and
I ummed and ahed about this one. I didn't know, is it cheating? Because I know it came out on this album in 2020, but it's a recording from 92. So I've been cheeky and put it on anyway. So I don't know if you remember, but before Egypt's McCartney 3 came out, it actually leaked online, and the whole album was on there, and I managed to avoid it. But I say I managed to avoid it. I heard one song, and it was "When Winter Comes." And if there's one song to hear off this album, it's maybe not the best one, because obviously Paul's a bit younger on this one. And at the time when I first heard it, I didn't know that it was an older recording. I thought this was a present day recording. So I thought, how on earth has he done that with his voice? He's gone back to sounding like how he used to. And I thought, God, has he been off tour for 6 months or whatever it been at that point? Has that really done that much for his voice? And yeah, when I heard the rest of the album, and then eventually found out it wasn't a recent recording, I was a bit disappointed. A tad, I wouldn't say it's not made me hate the album anymore at all, but yeah, in terms of the song, it's very much like something you'd expect to hear on Wildlife or the first McCartney album. It's very reminiscent of that early day McCartney sort of sound when him and Linda were up on the farm in Scotland. So yeah, I think that's what the song literally is. It's just a to-do list of what jobs he had to do on his farms. Yeah, it's my number 6.
Yeah, fantastic. I can't argue with that. I'm definitely not cheating that one. It was released 21st century, came out McCartney 3, yeah. So no, definitely a valid one there. If McCartney 3 had been his last album, that would have been a brilliant way to end his career. But apparently, there's a new album coming out maybe this year at some point, I've heard. So we'll see.
I have thought that myself. If it had been his last album, I mean, his first solo album opened with The Lovely Linda, and then that one closing with When Winter Comes, they're kind of similar-ish in some ways, the way they're just acoustic songs. It would have been nice, but at the end of the day, we're getting another Paul album, so I can't complain about that.
Absolutely.
Long may they continue.
Yeah, definitely. So my where am I now? Number 6.
Number 6.
I'm going for the title track from New.
Then we were new.
So this was the preview, the first thing we heard from New, and it was for me probably the first, like as we were saying earlier, this was the first album that came out which I was anticipating, like as a McCartney fan, and so this was the first little single, and it was really great. It's a very summery pop song in a kind of McCartney style that he's a master at, like very Beatles in this here. There's kind of harpsichord going on. There's great kind of horns on it. It's just an all-round a really good, feel-good song, I think. Which I think I can't remember if this came out during the summer of 2013 or if it was just a bit after, but it is a very summery song, I think, and a really positive, nice track.
It was May-June time, I think. May-June time 2013 it came out, I think.
Yeah, so if it was out then, it was probably my song of the summer, probably in 2013 back then. And yeah, it's just around a really good track. I guess the only thing I'm maybe not as keen on is the outro, like the kind of like the vocal outro, could maybe get that a little bit. I do sometimes feel myself wanting to skip that, but aside from that, everything else about this is perfect McCartney pop, and it's one of his best. So yeah, New would come in at number 6 there for me.
Very good song. I'm also going with the new album, but a different song off that album. My number 5, I am going with Appreciate. So this song is one of the most modern sounding songs, I would say, that Paul's done that sounds contemporary. And normally when Paul tries to do contemporary stuff, so songs like Fuck You off Egypt Station, it kind of ends up being a disaster and a bit cringy, really, because it's, at the end of the day, he's a 70-year-old man when these were being recorded, and it sounds a bit tragic in some ways. But Appreciate, I think, is Paul doing a modern song, but doing it really, really well. He's not trying to be down with the kids or anything like that. He's just doing his own interpretation of like a modern song, and I think this song has got a really good groove to it. I think he sings it really well. I really like the lyrics. It's just a good song through and through, and I mean, I imagine most people watching this video will have heard it, but if they haven't, I do recommend it. In my opinion, it is the best song on this album. It's the most new sounding song on the album. Appreciate, that's my number 5. I can appreciate.
Yeah, interesting choice. I was not expecting that one at all. Actually, to be honest, on on your list there. Yes, it's maybe a song which does divide people, but I love it as well. Like probably maybe not quite as much as you, but it is a great song. And I'd say, you know, if you like that one, I think that that Fireman album, like Electric Arguments, would be right up your street, because a lot of the songs, the more ambient stuff on that is quite similar musically, at least, to things I can appreciate. So yeah, great stuff, and great that he is still experimenting this late on. You know, he could be very easily just doing very safe kind of samey stuff, but it is great that he's still pushing not quite pushing boundaries, but kind of doing stuff a bit out there for him, you know, even late stage. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
So where are we now? Number 5 for me. It's a song you've already mentioned, so it's on McCartney 3 here, and it is again Kiss of Venus.
Reflected mountains in a lake. Is this too much to take?
Which you said that you've already mentioned. I think one of his strongest melodies, this song here, with some really good evocative lyrics on it. Like you say, it was inspired by this kind of like this. Was it a book about plants, like you said, and there's just some great lines about circling through the square, 2 passing planets in the sweet, sweet summer. Really nice stuff. I guess as I said, a lot of folk would probably have trouble with the vocals on this one, you know, which are probably the most strained he's ever sounded like on record, you know, like it's probably the most like, he really does sound like an 80-year-old like on this song here. I think on a track like this, which is just him and an acoustic, I think there's a wee harpsichord in there as well, but it's basically very stripped back. I think it actually suits the song and almost makes the track, I think, like, you know.
Yeah, it gives it a charm.
Yeah, it adds to the charm and the intimacy of this song, and it's just a really good song. Also, as me, like as a guitar player, this song is a really fun one to play like on guitar, like that little riff, and the chords in it are just beautiful and it's really well put together, I think. Yeah, it's a great song, like Kiss of Venus, which would be my number 5.
Number 4 we're on, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 4. I'm going back to Egypt Station, and I'm going with Despite Repeated Warnings.
Despite repeated warnings.
Anybody who says that Paul McCartney is past it, in my opinion, has not listened to this song, because this song is as good as anything that he was doing in the 60s or the 70s or the 80s. It's just, it's forced for songwriting. It is pure Paul McCartney. It's the sort of thing that only he could do. Like, it's in some ways similar to Band on the Run and Uncle Albert and stuff like that, where it's got different parts to it. And it's a political song, which is something Paul doesn't do very often. But he does it really well here, because he doesn't directly say, it's not, I think it's about Trump and climate change and all that. Obviously Trump was president when this came out. And it doesn't specifically name Trump in this song, so it's not like a song like Give Ireland Back to the Irish, which in my opinion is a good song, but it's also now quite a dated song because the Troubles and all that's past. So that one's kind of aged, whereas this won't, because it's kind of not obvious what it's about, and you can apply it to your own personal meanings, to any political reason you want, or even relationships, I suppose, if you want. But yeah, it's about 7 minutes long, I think. And for me, it's without doubt the best track on Egypt Station. One of Paul's all-time best songs. It's as good as anything he's done back in what was his peak, as a lot of people would say. So yeah, Despite Repeated Warnings, I'm putting that at 4.
Well, this is definitely a coincidence. At number 4, I've also got Despite Repeated Warnings. And I'll just echo everything you just said there. I mean, it's the epic penultimate track on Egypt Station. It's him revisiting this kind of medley song structure, which he'd not really done for a long time. I guess there was a bit of a medley on what's it like, Memory Almost Full, but that was almost more like different songs cross-faded, you know, a bit like, I guess, like the Red Rose Speedway medley. That's a bit more like, this is more like Uncle Albert Band on the Run style kind of like sort of song, because it kind of resolves itself. It kind of comes back to like the main theme, like at like the end, like off like the track. Again, as you said, it is a political song about kind of climate change denial and kind of Donald Trump and all that, but because he's cloaked it in this kind of tale of this kind of seafaring captain and that and all that, it gives it a kind of, it definitely hasn't dated, like as like you say. Also, just love the kind of all the different sections on it. That kind of like the more like mechanical bit with these swirling strings. It really gives a kind of vibe of being, I guess, on this kind of boat which is hurtling towards disaster. Very kind of George Martin-esque kind of string arrangement on it. And then some great, and then that horn riff on like that. Yes, we can do it bit. It's just so infectious and catchy. I remember the first time I heard this, it was maybe a couple of days before the album came out. They were it was maybe on one of these American kind of Beatles radio sort of channels like Sirius FM or those kind of things. They were previewing tracks, and this was one like that was played, and I kind of scrolled to the bit, listen to the song, and this was just like a jaw-dropping moment, like, it was like, bloody hell, he's still got it, like you said. So, great stuff there. So I'm glad to see that appearing on both of our lists.
Right, we're into the top 3 now, I think, are we?
Yes.
I'm finally pulling this album out. Hang on, I'm thinking out the thing. I'm going with Riding to Vanity Fair.
Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'll try to take.
Which is probably one of the most un-Paul McCartney sounding songs on this album. Who produced this album again? Nigel Godrich. Who is the Radiohead producer, and I really wish Paul would work with him again, because Paul has a tendency, it seems, to work with producers. So someone like Ryan Tedder, who produced Fuck You, who clearly didn't have, I'm trying to think how to phrase it, I don't want to say it didn't have the spine to tell Paul that it was a crap song. Whereas Nigel, with a lot of this, obviously Paul was getting annoyed with him because he was straight up telling him on Chaos that it was a bad song. If it was a bad song, he wasn't afraid to tell him. And thankfully for that, it means that we get great songs like Riding to Vanity Fair, which I think this one, I'm confident maybe isn't about Heaven Mills, but I think this one definitely is. Although I think at the time he said it was about a manager or something that he'd split with at the time after he'd been with him for a while, but I don't know if that's a cover up for what it's really about. I mean, it would make more sense to be about Heaven Mills, but I just think the lyrics on this song, they are some of Paul's best lyrics. I think they're probably the best lyrics on the album. The melody is out of this world. It's not like anything else he's ever done. I can't think of another Paul McCartney song that sounds like Riding to Vanity Fair. And it won't be everyone's cup of tea, but I think, in fact, of all on my Apple Music replay last year, I think this was 15th. So I listened to this song a lot last year. I didn't actually realise I had, but yeah, really like it. Riding to Vanity Fair, great song.
Nice one.
That's my number 3. Yeah.
See that? I mean, our lists are aligning quite well here, because that one is to come on my list. It's not my number 3, but it's definitely up there. I guess like you'll be able to see. So my number 3, I'm pulling out this one finally. Memory Almost Full, which you can see that you're very jealous of. But I'm going for Only Mama Knows. Which is one of his very best rockers for me. It stands alongside Jet and all those kind of great Wings rockers, Junior Storm, in that department for me. It's got great lyrics, a kind of intriguing narrative about this kind of, I guess, this child who's abandoned in this kind of airport, and this great kind of muscular arrangement which kind of dips between just this Paul and his band rocking out, and then these kind of string sections as well. So it just works really well for me. And vocally, he sounds on fire like on this track. It's just brilliant. And yeah, like as I said, I think this is also interestingly the only track I'm choosing on my list which has got Paul's current touring band performing on it, because he uses them occasionally like in the studio, but not a lot. And I do tend to prefer it when Paul does his own playing all the instruments. But this is one that he's got his band on, and it really works, and it is just a great rocker. So yeah, for me at number 3 is Only Mama Knows.
No comment.
Okay.
Number two. So my number 1 and number 2, I was and ahhing with what song to go with. So with number 2, I have gone back to Chaos here, and I'm going with the track Friends to Go.
Someone else can worry about me.
Which is a very acoustic sounding song. I think Paul said at the time this was his first release. think it was Driving Rain was before George Harrison died, I think. So, yeah, this was his first album after George died. And Paul has said that he felt like this song, he was sort of channeling George's spirit and George was helping him write it. And it does sound very George Harrison-like. It does sound very Beatlesy with the backing vocals and stuff. And there's just something very infectious about it. I love the lyrics. You don't need to worry about me, I'll be fine on my own and stuff like that. It's a really nice song. And it is the highlight of this album. I think that song and Riding to Vanity Fair, for me, two of the best songs Paul McCartney has ever done. And yeah, great song. I love Friends to Go.
Yeah, fantastic.
My number 2.
Fantastic stuff. Yeah, that was on my bubbling unders as well. So that was definitely a contender for me. Right, so I'm gonna choose from Chaos and Creation in the Backyard, one you've already mentioned, Riding to Vanity Fair.
Definition of friendship. Apparently
one of Paul's most dark and mysterious songs. Lyrically, a song about betrayal with some of his, as you said, very best solo lyrics, like that line, like the definition of friendship. Apparently, you ought to be showing support for the one that you love, and I was open to friendship, but you didn't seem to have any to spare. While you were riding Vanity Fair, amazing stuff. Rivals almost anything he wrote, like with like the Beatles. Like I would go as well.
Absolutely.
Great stuff. As you said, it probably is about Heather Mills' song. I think like at the time they hadn't formally separated, so he probably had to cloak it up in a tale about, it's about my old manager or something, but it probably was about his marriage being pretty much like on like the rocks. But no, just a great song, and it'd be really great to see Paul work with Nigel Godrich again. I think he really got the best out of Paul like on this album, and it's definitely I think it's widely considered one of his best solo albums, and rightfully so.
Oh, absolutely.
Great stuff there. Riding to Vanity Fair.
I think if John Lennon had still been alive, he'd have loved that song. It just sounds like it's as good as anything on Plastic Ono Band, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
that's maybe a controversial opinion, but
it's just got that personal, that real personal feel to it, which Paul often doesn't write from that sort of place. And I think when he does, usually the results are fantastic. And I mean that's certainly no exception to that.
Number one, then.
Yeah, I think you need to go for number 1. Yeah.
Number 1, right? I haven't got this one on vinyl. I'm going with Freedom off Driving. No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
No, I'm going with one. I seriously don't own this on vinyl, and I've never gave it away before. I'm going with Bonnie Mama Knows off Memory Almost Full. Basically, Ross, everything you've said. It is a brilliant song. It is a brilliant rocker. It is one of Paul's all-time best rockers. It's very reminiscent of Junior's Farm, I always think. Great song to play loud as well, especially if you're driving. If I'm in my car, I often turn the volume up when this song comes on. I love the way the orchestra at the start, when you first hear it, you think, what on earth is this? And then when the guitar kicks in and it goes into an all-out rocker, you're like, oh, yes. And Paul's voice is brilliant. His band, like you say, they all sound on top form. It's just a great modern day Paul McCartney song, and I think it's a real shame that he's dropped it from the set, because I think it was a great song live. I think it's on the Good Evening New York City live album, I think. Yeah, it sounds good on that as well. So Only Mama Knows, I'm going for that as Paul's best song of the 21st century. And it's just a great all-out rocker.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Yeah, again, like you say, it's a shame he's not playing this one live, to this day. As we said, it is one of his best songs, and him and the band play it so well, and it suits his voice. I think he can still pull this off live now. Yeah. I mean, I think he maybe sometimes still does it in sound checks, possibly, maybe like the odd sound check. But it's just a brilliant song, which should be much more well known than it is, I guess, in the McCartney community. Anyway, my number 1 is from the same album, and my Memory Almost Full, which again I'm going to show off the vinyl, and it is the track Ever Present Past.
Don't have no time to be a decent lover. I Oh, baby.
This song for me just encapsulates everything I like about Paul McCartney. It is upbeat, it is fun, it is memorable, and it sounds very contemporary. This one, like that kind of chiming kind of like guitar riff that kicks it off, and then these riffs which kind of overlay like onto one another, and then kind of a few twists and turns in it as well. Like the middle eighth on this is one of my favourite bits of McCartney's music. You know, me and a guy called James Griffiths did a video about McCartney moments, you know, kind of bits of McCartney songs, and this middle eighth where he goes like, I wouldn't join in with the games that they were playing, but it went by like in a flash. Like that whole bit of the song almost made my cut. You know, it's just so catchy and just was like, yeah, it's just brilliant. I can't really, just struggling to find the words to describe this one like a little bit. And then that kind of, that super catchy chorus as well, like the things I think I did like when I was a kid. Great stuff. All the instruments of this one played by Paul, and it's just showed that his knack for writing a top quality song hasn't faded, and it should be a song which is a lot more well known. I think it was a single, but I don't think it was ever played live. And it's just a brilliant track. So like Ever Present Past for me might be my favourite.
Sure is a great song, like you say. He's never lost it.
Yeah,
he's still got it.
Which I think our whole, like both of our lists prove, I think, and it's like, I mean, like he's wrote so many great songs. Just in the past, I was gonna say just in the past like 10 years, but that's me still think it's 2010. The 24 years, like he's wrote some brilliant songs, like which for me, some of them, particularly the ones at the top end of my list, stand up with his 60s, 70s output.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. But no, it's been great having you on again, Ollie. Fantastic time going through our top 10 McCartney songs. So I hope you have all enjoyed watching the video as well. And I guess we'll see you all next time for the next video. Goodbye.
See you later.